Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial on how to make a simple application. Okay, how to make a simple application. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my activity main.xml. Inside my activity main.xml, if you click on your project, don't worry about this calculator class here. That's just a class I've created. I'm not going to be using that for this tutorial. But in my main activity, you see I have a main activity. Then in my resource folder, inside the resource folder is a layout folder. And then we have our activity main. And then in the design side, we'll be able to drag things onto the screen. So for a typical calculator, for this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two edit text fields onto the screen. Then I'm going to add a number of buttons, which will allow us to add onto the screen. Buttons to allow the user to select what kind of operation they want it to do for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by doing this. So I'm just going to make this screen a bit bigger. So inside your code, usually when you start off, it will give you a constraint layout. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm using a linear layout. So you just have to replace the constraint layout with a linear layout. And then I'm just choosing an Android orientation of vertical. Then in my design side, I'm just going to drag some views onto the screen. The view I'm going to drag on is I'm going to drag a view of a number. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag two number edit texts onto the screen. The first one is the first number. The second one will be the second number. And then I'm also going to drag, let's say, a text view onto the screen, because the text view is what we will use to display our operation results. So I'm just going to put the text view at the top. And then I'm going to add some buttons onto my screen. So I'm just going to drag a button for add. For example, I'm going to drag a button onto the screen for subtraction or minus. I'm just going to drag a button onto the screen for multiplication. I'm going to drag a button onto the screen for division. And these are the buttons that I'm going to need right now. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just now going to just add a bit of design to my, going to make it look a bit more presentable at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my XML code. And for my text view to display my results, I'm just going to call it txt results. You can name it whatever you want to call it. And then inside of here, I'm just going to put result here with a dot, 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 so the person will be able to see it. Then my edit text is, well, I have two edit texts because a calculator usually needs 2 or 3 or 4 inputs. But for my case, I'm using 2 inputs. So I'm just going to call this EDTE value 1 and then EDTE value 2. Then I'm just going to add a hint to my edit text field so that the user will be able to know exactly what is expected for them to put in there. So let me just write value 1. And then I'm just going to add a hint. I'm just going to add value 2. And then for my buttons, I'm just going to give them btn add. And then for the text, I'm just going to put add. Or if I want to make it myself, I'm just going to put a plus. And then I'm going to name this as well, button minus. And I'm just going to put the minus sign there. And then, of course, button multiplication. And then I'm just going to put that sign. And then btn division. And then I'm going to put this sign there. So right now, what I've done is, all I've done is just given my view objects or views. I've just given them an ID so that I'll be able to have a reference of it in my main activity class, or any class that you're using, or any activity class that you're using. So if we go back to the design, we'll see that there will be a difference in the design. Okay, so you can see here there's a result, value 1, activity here. Let's say maybe I just want to add a margin top to it just to give it a bit of a margin. So 10 dp for all of them, so that there's a bit of space. I mean, I'm just trying to just add a bit more space to it, just for it to go up. I can just do margin bottom, but I'm just doing margin top. You can do whatever you feel to add it to it to make it look pretty or nicer, or it's up to you. But all I'm doing is just adding these things. So I've this stage, what I've done is, this is just my layout. I've just added some buttons to my linear layouts. I've just added some well, 2 edit text fields and then a text view to it. And in the next video, I will show you how we can code this in our class and how you can have references to it. So I'll see you in the next video.